Welcome into Game Changers. Mike Cunha, Steve Goldstein, and I don't know. I honestly don't know where Kimbo Camper is at today.
Kimbo Camper, you know, it was the bye week last week. He takes the bye this week.
Yes.
Bo works on his own schedule, and that's why we love him. So he is not here this week.
He's somewhere taking a nap, but hey, rest
Parts
up.
unknown.
Rest. There you go.
Put him out to pasture.
That's where he's at.
That's where he's at.
I swear, Bo, if you're taping an episode right now and you're not here,
not going to be happy with you.
Yep, you're buying dinner next time. All right.
Some explaining to do.
Yes, you do. Goldie, you know, the Dolphins are out of town. The Canes are out of town. Taylor Swift is not. She's in town. Mm-hmm. And you will be there. I didn't know you were a Swiftie. This is the lead of our show.
So I wouldn't say I'm a Swiftie, but I do like Taylor Swift. Okay. I like the music. I have heard her concerts are such a great event. Mm-hmm. Music aside, it's just, you know, the people are so passionate, and I'm all about that. And I was able to, fortunately, at face value, secure some tickets. So I will be there at Hard Rock Stadium this weekend to watch Taylor Swift. I cannot wait. I mean, I'm really looking forward to it. I'm really looking forward to it. I want to see the spectacle.
He mentioned face value because I'm betting.
Well, your first question was to me, did you pay the $4,000 a ticket?
You pulled the Goldie strings for sure. But this is the Taylor Swift. You know, this is the Swiftie test. Yeah. Do you have the Swiftie bracelets?
Well, so what happened? Yes. So what happened was the Panthers win the Stanley Cup, and as you know, I was doing some of the FIU games. Sure. So I had a couple of people at some appearances make me the bracelets. Wow. One of them said, I should have brought them. I didn't because I have to keep them secure for the show. Right. You know, in case something happens to them.
Safety deposit box.
Too close to the concert, then I wouldn't be able to wear them at the concert, and that would make a whole big thing. So anyway, someone gave me a Panthers one in Florida Panther colors and FIU Panther colors.
There you go.
Someone else made one with my name on it. So yes, I have a few. I mean, I can't go all the way up the arm like Travis Kelce did when he secured Taylor Swift for the relationship. But I've got a few that I will be wearing if I run into anybody at Hard Rock Stadium this weekend. You will see me with the bracelets.
I'm sure many people will see you. And
I'm hoping to get a few more just before the concert.
Oh, I'm sure you will. You'll
what,
find
do you think people give them out there?
Yes.
Are there people making them?
I don't know. I'm issuing a challenge to Panther fans and to Goldie fans because whenever we go anywhere, Goldie is the biggest celebrity. You got Swifties, we want Goldies. All right, so let's make up bracelets for Goldies. All right, all the Goldies fans out there. All right, let's get down to business.
So I'm looking forward to it. I really am.
I'm actually jealous. I would love to go.
I'm looking forward to it. I can't. I wonder if Kelsey's going to be there. Probably not.
Probably not. He's probably a little busy. Yeah. The Dolphins will be busy in Indianapolis this week. They're 3-point underdogs to the Colts. We saw them really get off to a great, I don't want to say great start. They had a great second half against the Patriots. They were able to run the ball effectively. Is that just the key for the Dolphins? Do they win this game if they could just get back to the run game that we saw against the Patriots? Or are the Patriots so bad you can't really take that at face value?
Well, the latter of what you said, yeah. Like the Dolphins are trying to win. Mm-hmm. New England's trying with the players on the field, but overall, they were in the rebuild mode.
Right.
So, you know, that last game, there were impressive things in the second half. If you're going to be a decent team and you're going to have a chance to compete for a playoff spot, you have to do what they did in the second half. Mm-hmm. So, that said, yes, the formula is to run the ball again 40 times. I mean, they just need to commit to it. They need to do it. It keeps Indy's offense off the field. I do like the way the Dolphins defense coming into this matchup. I think it's a pretty good matchup for him. Anthony Richardson's going to start a quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts. I think Anthony Weaver's done a terrific job as defensive coordinator. So even though Javon Holland's questionable whether or not to play, I do like the matchup from that standpoint. But look, Tyler Huntley is what he is. He was on a practice squad for a reason. Now he's been around for a month. He's getting better. I do believe that. Odell being again, second game, but for the most part, you got to keep the football on the ground, control the ball.
I will say it has been nice through all the drama with this Dolphins team this year. It has been really nice that haven't really felt concern with one part of the game, and that would be the defense. So I really, it all just comes down to what the offense can or cannot do. But that was probably their best half of football, that second half against the Patriots. Mike McDaniel, gave the offensive line a ton of credit because he talked about how the Patriots probably shed blocks better than anybody else, and they were able to sustain them and spring guys like Jalen Wright, Raheem Mostert. That's how they have to win. They don't have a true quarterback right now. That's the way they're going to have to do it. Again, they are 3-point underdogs to the Colts.
Oh, I like that.
Me too.
I think the Dolphins win this game. And I do think this week they find a way to get the ball, to Tyreek and Jalen Waddle and open it up a little bit.
Yeah.
I have a feeling it's finally going to come now.
Right. And that line, I think, has moved. I think it was at like -4.5 or something. So
yeah, it's got to go in the Dolphins'
people
direction.
it's starting
Well,
to
let me ask you, who has the quarterback? I mean, these games come down to the quarterback.
Anthony Richardson.
Who has the advantage?
They have the advantage with him. There's no other person in the league who could throw off your back foot and throw it 70 yards through the air. He's a freak.
I feel like there's some mistakes that could be made there.
Well, there are mistakes, but there's mistakes everywhere. Josh Allen is the king of mistakes, and he can beat you by 30.
So you take Richardson over Huntley if you had to pick a quarterback for this game.
And I think that's fair. I mean, and he's been in Indy for 2 years.
Yep.
Huntley's been there a month. Okay, let's talk about the Canes, because obviously they are 6-0 right now, number 6 in the country. You love to see it. I'm not ready to ask the question, is the U back? I am saving that question for like the end
You've
of
also
the year.
asked that question like 20 times over the last 5 years.
I have not asked that.
You've asked that numerous times the last few years.
Over the last 5 years. This show's been on the air for like a year and a half.
I think it's been long. Feels like 5 years with those questions you asked.
Okay, wow. That's so nice to have you.
I feel like you've asked.
You know who I miss? I miss Bo. I can't believe I'm saying I miss Bo.
See, you're always here, so you always have,
All right, so from what we've seen the last few weeks, with the scare against Virginia Tech, with the scare against Cal, are you worried that maybe we're overhyping the Canes? Are they a legit contender for the playoffs at this point, or are you just waiting for that typical Miami loss to kick in here at some point?
Well, I think it's yes on all of it. Mm-hmm. Number one, because of Cam Ward. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the country, one of the best players in the country. Right. He's going to be right in the Heisman race. Because of him, they're a playoff team for sure. The playoffs are now a dozen teams, so they're definitely a playoff team.
True.
I also agree that I'm still waiting for that one game. Now, the schedule is easy, okay, and they've had an easy schedule so far. I mean, they should have beaten, if you would say.
So?
Yeah, I mean, most of the games not really competitive.
Okay.
They found a way, I'll say it up from the glass half full, competitively through adversity, they found a way to beat Virginia Tech and Cal, barely. Now, the average Hurricane fan out there would say, why the heck did you need it to be that hard to beat those types of teams? But the fact is they beat them. So I think it's all correct. I don't think they're going to run the table and go undefeated.
Okay.
I do think they're going to.
I think there's a trip up somewhere.
I do think they're going to be a playoff team.
Yeah.
And I do think they have a chance because of the quarterback.
To me, Clemson is the only thing standing in their way. Even if they lose a game, I still think they find a way into the ACC title game.
Yeah, I
it's
agree
just
with that.
Clemson ends up being the biggest hurdle for them. All right, so let's. You know what? This is a little bit on the fly. There had been that typical Miami loss in recent years. Let's go Georgia Tech last year, the weird way that game ended. We got Louisville, you got Florida State, you got Duke. Could you see Miami losing to either of those three teams?
Two of them, yes, and I'll lose at Florida State. Let's just.
How about that, by the way?
We got to just call it what it is now. Florida State this year, it's a bad football team.
Yeah.
They're not good. They have no confidence, and now they're playing for nothing.
Right.
So they're pretty much done for this year. Still like the coach. I don't think my opinion is they shouldn't fire the coach. I hope they don't.
Yeah.
I think he does a good job. The other two games, I mean, they're literally a play away from losing to Virginia Tech and Cal.
Yeah.
So you look at teams like Duke, and you look at a real good team on the road like Louisville, of course they could lose those games.
Duke's going to sting. If they lose to Duke, that's going to sting because of the guy who's on the opposite sideline right now in Manny Diaz. And I think that when I talk to Canes fans, that seems to be like the one that they have like circled on their calendar. It's not even FSU. To your point, FSU is just a bad team.
And it's home.
Louisville's got a lot of talent. They were ranked at one point this year. They'll probably sneak back in there at some point. But man, Duke just feels like a wild card because of who's on that side.
I think when you go beyond Duke, I think there's more games. I think almost every game is a tough game for them.
Yeah, I mean, even 2017 when they were on the verge of going undefeated, they lose Thanksgiving weekend to Pitt, who was not a great team. Freshman Kenny Pickett.
Yeah, remember that?
How about that? Yeah. I remember.
You remember it. And the other factor is, as time goes on, the human element comes in, the pressure continues to mount on the team until you lose a game. It becomes a much bigger game for the other team. And historically in college football, especially now with even more games, it's hard to win them all.
Right.
I mean, it's hard. If you're a great team, it's hard to win them all.
And to that point, good on the Canes players this week for holding that players-only meeting to address that. To say, hey, look, this close stuff, it ain't cutting it. We got to be careful because it seems like they even know the perception and they want to nip that in the bud.
Well, the Va-Tech game, they really got away with one. So, and they know that.
Okay, listen, it was not a catch.
Win's a win.
Any measure of.
No, I'm not saying from the referee's call perspective. I'm talking from the overall game perspective.
Yeah. No, I'm just.
Virginia Tech's not very good.
No. Well, they had a. Okay, They told me to go to the T's.
Yeah.
So we could do this.
They're
forever.
fair at best.
They're fair. I mean,
at best.
They held with Vanderbilt for a little while.
Okay, held with Vanderbilt.
And Vandy beat Alabama.
Let's not start that whole thing.
I could go down
let's
there.
not start that whole thing.
All right,
I'll find a way to say FIU's national champions if you start that whole thing.
All right, coming up, we got to talk about a fellow broadcaster. It's fun to say that. Tom Brady now gets into ownership in the NFL. We're talking about what he can and cannot do now as an owner of an NFL team. We'll be right back.
He's making a little more money than we are, though.
A lot of it. Welcome back to Game Changer. Some interesting news across the NFL. We will keep it in the AFC East. To start here, we had some big trades. Davante Adams, now a member of the New York Jets. Amari Cooper, now a member of the Bills. Goldie, which of those trades concerns you the most?
Well, they're both concerning. I thought it was like the NHL trade deadline, because in the NFL you don't get deals like that very often, and they go back to back in the division.
Minutes apart.
At the same position.
Yeah.
Strange. Okay, well, Adams, first of all, has that history with
73 combined touchdowns with Aaron Rodgers.
Amazing. You know, he had almost 1,000 yards a year. Amari Cooper's a really good player, and you give Josh Allen a weapon. They had lost the weapons during the offseason with Diggs. So, yeah, if you're the Dolphins, I mean, I know you got to worry about yourself, and you can't worry too much about these other teams. But with Buffalo at 4-2, and now they go out and get Cooper. A week ago I was thinking maybe 9 wins in the division, if you're maybe 10.
Right.
Now I'm thinking the Buffalo Bills are going to surpass that. I think the Jets are. You know my feeling on the Jets. I think it was a mistake to sign Aaron Rodgers in the first place.
Yeah.
It's too overbearing. He sucks all of the oxygen out of a team, out of a locker room. I think it's part of the reason why Green Bay moved on from him. And he's hurt. There's no way he's making it through, at 80, 90%, 17 games. That is not going to happen. So from that standpoint, I don't think it's as big of a deal. But the Jets are going to get better, and you still need to play them twice.
Right.
That's where it makes it more difficult, even if Aaron Rodgers isn't the quarterback by the time we get to December. The Dolphins play him, and Tyrod Taylor's in there. He now has Davante Adams.
Right.
So concerning, but still, if you're the Dolphins, you worried about your own house. You got so many things
to worry about
that you need to figure out that you're not overly concerned. But 3 of the remaining 12 games are against those 2 teams that just got those 2 guys.
Yeah, well, I think the Adams trade to the Jets is more interesting if your name is Kendall Fuller or Jalen Ramsey. That makes your job a little bit more interesting, but I agree. The Jets on a whole, woof. What a disaster that team can be. The Bills, though, I agree with you. To me,
you don't say that often here on Game Changers, Mike.
You know what? Bo's not here.
Can you say that again?
I agree with you.
Wow.
We agree with a lot of things.
Yeah, we actually do.
But so Amari Cooper, what I think this does is it essentially makes the ceiling for the Dolphins the wild card because of where they're at right now. I think this pushes the Bills over the edge. I agree with you. Look, in weeks 5 and 6, the AFC East went 1-7. The division wasn't looking very good there for 2 weeks. And by the way, that one win was the Dolphins.
Right. Well, say this though. What you say. All that said, Mike, you say what you say about the Jets. I agree about the Jets, and the Bills. You talk about the Canes getting away with one. The Bills got away with one. The guy who's one of the best kickers, maybe a Hall of Fame kicker. I know he's old, Zerline. He misses in the fourth quarter to give Buffalo the win. So we could say all that about the Bills, but
But I think you trust Josh Allen and the quarterback situation in Buffalo more than any other. And so
it's not even close.
And that's why I think you give them that edge. All right,
By the way, after Josh Allen. Here's a question for you. He loves these questions. So I'm going to give
Don't do it. I know it.
After Josh Allen, in the division, as a team, whose quarterback situation would you take next? Miami, New York, or now New England?
I'm going to say Miami with the outlook that it seems like Tua's coming back.
Okay, fair enough.
Don't ever ask questions again. All right, that's.
Did you have to even think about it?
I was scared. I didn't know where you were going. No, I knew where you were going. I'm just kidding.
Might you take Drake May for the rest of the season?
I would put Drake May in the number 2 spot of that question.
Ahead of Rodgers and the Jets.
Yes. So I go because that's a rental, and that's who knows what's going to happen there.
You turned pretty quickly on Aaron Rodgers. You were kind of in the offseason thinking he was going to be.
I thought that had more hope than it
You turned pretty quickly.
Yes.
You're like one of those undecided voters that still,
November 5th, I'll be busy. Just watching the trade deadline. I'm not doing other stuff. Okay, let's talk about Tom Brady. Speaking of,
I like that fellow broadcaster, Tom Brady.
Fellow broadcaster Tom Brady. So now he's part owner of the Las Vegas Raiders, but there is a list of things, Goldie, he cannot do because now he's an owner, which makes his job as a broadcaster really hard. Here it is.
Okay.
He can't be in another team's facility.
Ever?
No.
So how does he do those meetings for the game?
Can't go to broadcast meetings, production meetings, which we went to in the preseason. Can't do those.
So they do that every week?
Yes. Well, not anymore. Not with him. Can't witness practice. Can't criticize officials. And he's subject to the NFL gambling policy, sure, subject to the NFL tampering policy and a couple other things.
Oh, hang on now on the officials. Because what is the definition of criticize? If Tom Brady's doing a game
and he can say that's a bad call, that's a good call.
He sees a call that he doesn't like.
Mike Pereira, you got to be the guy to make that call.
He can't say anything.
Yeah. And he can't, and there's none of that. Just to peel the curtain back a little, when we do those broadcast meetings, that's where you find the stories of guys'
100%.
backgrounds. That's how you literally fill the air in a 3-hour
A guy like
window.
Tom Brady, in his position, would actually get a lot of the game plan from the real inside stuff.
Yes.
So he's going to try to improve by his own admission, trying to get better. Without any of those things, like if Tom Brady watches practice for 20 minutes, he gets a lot out of it. He knows exactly what. He's not allowed to do that, huh?
No, not allowed to do that. So what I think this makes his potential to be a really good broadcaster even greater, because if he can pull it off with all this against him,
I don't think he can. Honestly,
it's going to be tough.
The best guys that have ever done it.
Yeah.
From John Madden right on through, whoever you like. If you like Troy Aikman, if you like Phil Simms, here on CBS, whoever your guys are. So much of it is, hey, we met with Bill Belichick yesterday, and so much of it also is there are times where these teams script the first 10 or 20 plays offensively, and there's times those coaches, for certain guys that are analysts on television, on national TV, they'll give them the plays.
Right.
So they know what's coming. Now, they don't tell us what the plays are, but they're able to break down the replay in advance because they knew, hey, this one's going to probably go off right tackle. Let's get that shot. So I think it's pretty interesting. It's not an easy job to do in the first place.
Nope.
Tom Brady's trying to get better by his own admission, and now he has all those things that are no longer at his disposal. That's pretty wild to me.
It's kind of with two hands tied behind your back. It'll be interesting to see.
Still making his $37 million regardless of the performance.
Doesn't matter. He's going to get paid one way or the other. All right, Goldie, we got to talk about the Panthers.
Is he allowed to announce a Raider game, by the way?
That I don't know. That's a good question.
What if the Raiders make the Super Bowl one year and he's...
George is telling me no in my ear.
So they're paying him. Let me get this straight.
Olsen.
If they're paying him $37.5 million a year, which they are, that's what Tom Brady's contract is, and that network in a certain year gets the Super Bowl, and the Raiders make the Super Bowl, they cannot use the $37 million analyst to announce the Super Bowl.
It doesn't sound like it. Maybe this is divest his interest in the team. I don't know.
That's wild to me.
I don't know. All right. What's wild is
nice to be Brady.
Panthers keep winning without Alexander Barkov in the lineup. We're going to talk about that when we come back. Welcome back to Game Changers. Goldie, let's dive into the Panthers because Barkov got hurt the other day and our poor producer George was in a puddle. I mean, he was in the fetal position in the corner.
He wasn't alone.
God bless him. Yeah, we were all a little scared. They're winning without him. My question to you was going to be, does baby Barkov, Anton Lundell, need to be big Barkov at this point? But he took that question right out of my mouth because he's been performing well. Is he the answer in all this?
What a great job they've done.
Yeah.
I mean, they've never played without Barkov and Kachuk in this the third year that they played together.
Yeah.
So they're winning some games without both those guys. Barkov's going to be back probably about a week, maybe a little bit more. But as you say, Mike, what a job by Anton Lundell moving in there, doing everything for this team. And Sam Bennett stepped up as well.
Yeah.
So you talk about that depth, you talk about next man up. It's easy to say in sports. Not a lot of teams have the personality, the intensity, and the talent to be able to do it. The Panthers do.
We've gotten 2 games with the Bruins, and it already felt like playoff atmosphere-style hockey. Panthers won both of them. I'm curious, it feels like a rivalry, but I'm wondering from your perspective, because you talk to guys around the country and around the NHL, does the NHL respect Florida enough still to think that, oh, this is a legit rivalry between one of the, all-time greatest franchises in the history of hockey?
I think most around the league don't pay quite as much attention.
Right.
But I will tell you this: we know it's a rivalry, and in Boston, they really know it's a rivalry.
Do they? Okay, that's really where I want to get
I mean,
to.
the fans,
they respect it enough?
The Bruins fans hate Sam Bennett, hate Matthew Tkachuk. The boos for Bobrovsky when they introduced him in the game up there last Monday, I was like, oh my God, what did he ever do to you except eliminate you 2 years in a row in the playoffs? And then the way the Bruins play, they went out and picked up some players to try to beat the Panthers, those tough guys. Now, it didn't work because they were way undisciplined. And then Jim Montgomery comes out after the game and says, they're in our heads. That's how much the Panthers were in the Bruins' heads. So for the fan base's great rivalry, for some national media, yes. But the average fan around the league, not yet. I think it needs to go one more year in the playoffs because they played twice in the playoffs, and a lot of people focused on the Panthers, winning the Stanley Cup, obviously. Average fan around the country may not even realize they knocked off the Bruins in the second round.
By the way, Bruins fans, you got to win for it to be a rivalry.
That's what I said.
At some point.
I was going to say to one of them, is it a rivalry between the hammer and the nail?
It's once.
But no, I left that out. I don't
Not really. All right, we got more to come on. Game changers, some fun stuff in Philly with the Eagles and Nick Sirianni. I want to talk about. We'll get to that next. Let's wrap things up here on Game Changers. Goldie, 1 minute. Nick Sirianni, head coach for the Eagles, caught yelling at Eagles fans. Do you like it, love it, hate it?
Well, as a head coach in the NFL, I think it's taking away your energy and your time. It's kind of like the Mike McDaniel says. He never fights with referees because if I'm arguing with the refs and yelling at them, I'm not doing something that I might be able to see in a game plan or something. So I think it's kind of a waste of his time. Coaches and players that fight with media and fans, it's an uphill battle. You don't win it, but that's part of his personality. But I may take what Nick Sirianni did this weekend at Hard Rock Stadium and start jawing with some of the Taylor Swift fans. I may try to fire it up. Let's go.
I love it. It's entertainment.
With the bracelets.
Embrace it, especially the Eagles fans. They're tough. They can handle
that's true.
it.
You know what they said to him.
Yeah.
I can only imagine.
Right. Not exactly sure who was in the wrong there. Thanks for watching Game Changers. It was a fun one. But we'll see you next week, and we'll see the rest of you next week as well.
I'm the problem. It's me.